So we've just advanced the video now showing 2:15 time, at least on the camera, 11 minutes and 4 seconds on exhibit 174. Have you now moved on from the corner and you're walking back down Tremont Street towards the parking garage?
Yes.
And the man in the braids, it appears to be communicating with a woman. Who is that, sir?
That's Daniel.
Did you know the woman that he's talking to? Have you ever met her before?
No.
So that's someone he just met that night in the club?
Yes.
Now the camera is forwarded now to a view from the parking garage looking down on Tremont Street. A person in the white shirt walking, who is that, sir?
That's me.
And the two people that you're meeting up with as you walk towards the garage are who, sir?
That's Daniel and Safira.
Daniel and Safira?
Yes.
Stopping at the time, at least on this video, is 2:19 and 11 seconds. What was your intention in going into the garage at that point, you, Daniel, and Safira?
What was it? To grab the car.
To get the car? What about your two other friends?
With
Gerson and Rashidi's. Was there going to be a plan to pick them up outside?
Yes.
So you had communicated that to them?
I believe so.
I've stopped the video at the total video on exhibit 174, 12 minutes, 12 seconds. Is that the BMW that you were in leaving the garage?
Yes.
And the person driving in the white shirt, who is that, sir? Who was driving that night?
Daniel.
And the passenger appears to be a multicolored
Safira.
shirt. Safira?
Yes.
And are you sitting in the back in this at this time?
Yes.
I'm playing the video that's labeled as 2:26. Did two other people get into the car with you?
So after the garage?
Yes.
Yes.
Who got into the car?
Rashida and Gerson.
And where were you sitting in relation to them? It looked like they both got in on each side.
Each side, yeah.
So where were you sitting?
I was sitting in the middle.
The middle back seat?
Yeah.
You may.
Mr. Freire, I'm just going to show you a diagram of a car. Does that appear to be a fair and accurate representation of, generally speaking, the BMW?
Yes.
And it had two bucket seats in the front and a large bench seat in the back?
Yes.
And the photograph, or not the photograph, the diagram I've shown you, does that show 5 people seated in that diagram, the diagram of a car, a sedan?
Yes.
And just if you would, the driver of the car was who as you were coming down Tremont Street?
Driver was Daniel.
And can you just write Daniel next to where he was? And the passenger was who, sir?
Safiro.
Can you write Safiro, please? The closest to the passenger side door, sitting here to your right, was who, sir?
That was Rashidi.
Can you write Rashidi's? The middle is who, sir?
That was me.
Can you just write your first name? And the person next to you on your left?
That was Garrison.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, this will be marked for identification. Just going to place R for identification on the screen. So as you left the parking garage, and as we saw in the video, exhibit 174, the car took a left onto Tremont Street. Daniel was driving, Safiro's in the passenger seat, Gerson's to your left in the back seat, you're in the middle, and Rashidi's is to your right.
Yes.
At this point, Mr. Freire, had anything occurred of note or anything that got your attention? Were there any problems up until this point?
No.
And to the best of your knowledge, have there been any arguments or anything of that sort, not only for you, but for any of your friends?
Not that I recall.
As you go down Tremont Street, what was the plan? Where were you going, you and your friends?
Oh, we was just gonna look for some place to eat.
A late night place, since it's after 2:30?
Yeah.
Do you know where you were planning to go to eat? Was it going to be somewhere downtown or more towards Dorchester?
Dorchester.
Did you have a place in mind, or had you not decided that yet?
We didn't decide at that point yet.
As you're driving down Tremont Street, was the radio on, or were you talking, or both?
I believe we was talking. Yeah. The radio might be on too, but I didn't really pay attention on that.
And describe, if you would, Mr. Freire, what happens as you drive down the street? At some point, do you stop at a stoplight?
Yeah, we stopped at the red light.
And do you know where the red light was in relation to the highway or the end of the street?
We was about to take a left to the.
You're about to take a left towards the highway?
Yes.
Just placing on the screen what's been entered as exhibit number 10. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photo, sir?
Yes, the BMW.
That's a BMW, and the intersection where the BMW is parked in exhibit 10, is that the intersection where you stopped, where the car that you were in stopped at a light, planning to take a left towards the highway?
Yes.
When the car stopped, sir, do you know if the windows of the car that you were in were opened or closed, if you recall?
I was in the middle, so.
So you don't know?
Yeah.
What happened once the car stopped at the light?
Yeah, the car just pulled up like right next to us.
A car pulled up right next to you?
Yes.
What did that car look like?
It was an SUV.
What color?
Between gray and silver.
And that car pulled up right next to you, the silver SUV. How close did it get to the car?
How close the other car was next to
Yes.
the car we was? Not too far, like pretty close.
When that car pulled up next to you, did you hear some words coming
Yes.
from the car?
Yes.
What did you hear?
What up, Negroes?
What up, Negroes?
Yes.
Was that a male voice or a female voice?
Male voice.
And after hearing what up, Negroes from a male voice, did you then hear something else?
The voice,
Not a voice, but did you hear or see something else happen?
he just started shooting.
Shots started to be fired?
Yes.
And could you tell how many shots were fired?
I didn't have time to count the shots.
When the shots were fired, Did you feel anything?
Sorry, your question. If I feel anything like what?
When the shots, what did you see or feel as the shots were being fired in the car? I mean, in the car you're in. Do you see anything flying in the air? Do you see glass? Do you hear something? What's happening?
Yeah, the window was blasting, and then I got shot too. That's
So
what
you
I
heard. The window smashed out,
Yeah.
and you felt yourself get shot.
Yeah, I was just trying to cover my head and I had to protect.
How did you try to cover your head? Can you show us what you did?
Like this, right arm.
And for the record, you've put your right arm over your head and your
Yeah.
left arm slightly below it.
Yes.
And were you trying to block or to put your arms up to block the shots that were coming in?
Yes.
After the shots were fired, what happened next?
The car just flew the scene.
Could you tell which way the car went?
It went straight.
It went straight ahead of you, away from you?
Yeah.
And did it go at a slow speed or a fast speed?
I didn't pay attention on that.
What was the next thing you remember happening?
We just went out of the car. I was trying to see if Safiro and Daniel was all right because they were stuck like slow motion. And then I was all around the car, was waving like looking for someone to help because when I touched my pocket, I didn't even find my phone on my pocket. So I was looking for help for 911, call the ambulance. That's what I remember.
So you got out of the car. Did you go up to Safiro or Daniel? Did you see them?
I went both sides. I don't remember which one I went first, but I went both sides.
And when you got close to Daniel, what did you see?
I mean, he was trying to talk. He was dying, and I was just trying to talk to him.
What were you saying?
I mean, he was trying to talk. He didn't say nothing. He was just trying to say something, but he didn't. And
He was trying to talk?
yeah, that time, yeah, before he died, like maybe less than 2 minutes or 1 minute, like it just.
Could you see if was he shot?
Yeah.
Did you see where he was shot?
On the belly.
The belly?
Yeah. On the chest, some area.
Was he breathing when you went up to him?
I mean, like I said, as soon as I went to him, was trying to talk, like, or stopped breathing, like not even 2 minutes.
You stopped breathing within 2 minutes?
Yeah.
But during that 2 minutes, were you trying to help him, or was he saying anything, or were you saying anything?
I was just like trying to tell him, just keep strong. Like we're gonna look for help or anything like that. You know, we just like in panic.
And you say at some point he stopped breathing. Did you see that?
I mean, I could see it.
You saw it.
Yeah.
What about Safira? What did you notice about him?
We died right away. Got like bullet in the head. It was like bleeding. You know.
You saw the wound to his head.
It was.
Judge, can we request a sidebar? See you at sidebar.
Mr. Hagan. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Freire, you just finished describing your observations of Daniel, and I think I just asked you about Safira. You indicated that Safira, right away when you observed him, he did not appear to show any signs of life. He was not breathing.
Yes.
And you saw a gunshot wound to his head.
There was a lot of blood on his face. Like yeah.
But just to clarify with Daniel, did you make observations of him being alive for a period of time?
Objection, Judge. This has been asked and answered and covered.
It has. It's been covered. Put another question.
Mr. Freire, you indicated, you testified that when you got outside, you started searching your pants for your phone. Is that right?
Yeah, I touched my pants. I didn't find my phone. Yeah, I was just waving for help. Yeah.
What about your wound to your arm? Which arm was it?
Right arm.
And was it bleeding?
Yeah, it was bleeding a lot. Yeah.
It was bleeding a lot.
Yes.
And you were running. Where were you running?
I was like around the car.
All around the car?
All around the car, yeah.
Did you see any other cars start to arrive on the scene? And if so, what did you do?
I was just waving, and then this car just stopped. I remember this guy was calling 911 for us.
Someone stopped and called 911?
Yes,
When you were waving your arm, how were you waving your arm?
my left arm.
Did you go out into the street to do that? Did you?
Yeah, like around on the side of the car, like front of the car. Yeah.
Were you yelling at all? Were you screaming at all?
I was on panic. Yeah.
What about your other friends, Gerson and Rashidis? Did you see where they went?
That time I didn't pay attention. Like no one, like but Safira and Daniel. Like I was just trying to look for help for them. I remember Rashida was around me, and Garrison was on the side, but I didn't pay attention like what they was doing.
And at some point, did you ever go over to the sidewalk area of the car that we see on exhibit number 10? This area here, do you remember ever walking over here?
I was all over the car. Yeah, all around the car.
All around the car?
Yeah.
Showing you exhibit number 69, sir, the area where there's red staining on the side of the BMW. Were you over in that area as well? Of the
Like
car?
I said, I was all around the car. Yeah, I might, yeah.
Mr. Freire, you indicated that you couldn't find your phone to call 911. Placing on the screen what's been entered as exhibit number 80, which appears to show the center seat of the back rear bucket seat. Sorry, bench seat. Is that your phone there? On
That's
the
the iPhone over there?
Yes.
Objection, Judge.
Yes.
I'll rephrase the question. The phone that was found in the center of the seat, was that later turned over to you by Boston Police?
Yes.
And what kind of phone was that?
It was an iPhone, black iPhone.
And prior to it being provided to you, are you aware that you provided consent to have that phone searched and downloaded by the police?
Yes.
How quickly, sir, did the police and ambulance arrive, if you know?
I don't remember like how long they took to arrive, but I don't think that was too long. After the guy called,
The police came pretty quickly?
I think so, yeah.
What happened when the police got there?
All I remember was the ambulance. I don't remember the police, like, I don't know like how long they took and which one came first, but all I remember.
You got into the ambulance?
Yes.
Did you see your wound? Did you see the hole in your arm?
Yeah.
Could you see a projectile, a bullet?
Yes.
Where was it sticking out, if it was sticking out?
It was on this side, on the right arm.
It was on the inside, you're pointing to, for the record, to your forearm, the inner arm?
Yes.
And that's where you saw a projectile?
Yeah.
It was sticking out?
It was taken out, yeah.
And on the other side of your right arm, did you see a wound?
Yes.
And did it appear to be a hole? If you know.
It was bleeding both sides, so, but I could see the projector on this side. Yeah.
And were you bleeding a lot or not very much?
I was bleeding a lot.
Did you go to the hospital?
Yes.
What happened at the hospitals?
Just take care of it.
They treated your wound?
Yes.
Were you present when a doctor used some type of medical instrument to remove the bullet?
Yes.
And once the bullet was removed, did they bandage your arm up?
Yes.
Do you recall speaking to police briefly at the hospital, sir?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
For calling your attention to later that early morning, were you eventually discharged from the hospital?
The next day,
Yes.
I just went home and I took a shower, and then I laid down on the couch for a little bit, you know.
Let me stop you there. So you did leave the hospital, you went home, back to Dorchester.
Yeah.
Did you know at that point that your friends were dead?
I mean, I could tell. When I left the hospital, I could, like, as soon as I saw them in the car, I could tell they was dead.
Calling your attention now, sir, to a couple days later, being July 18th, year 2012. Did you come to the Suffolk County Grand Jury to testify about what had happened the two nights before?
Yes.
And in that statement to the grand jury, were you asked some questions about what you saw as far as whether or not you could see the shooter? Do you recall being asked those questions?
Yes.
And do you recall indicating in that statement that you did see a silver or gray SUV? You recall
Yes.
saying that? And do you recall indicating that all you could tell was that you could see a couple people in the car, but you didn't get a chance to focus on faces?
Yes.
And did you also recall testifying that you didn't know if the shots came from the driver's side or the passenger side of the car?
So what was your question again?
If you were asked, did you see if the shots came from the driver's side, the driver of the car, or the passenger? Do you recall your answer being no, you could not tell?
I don't remember that.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Page 25.
25, line 3.
Ask you to read page 25 to yourself, line 3 through 6. So refresh your memory, sir, that you indicated you weren't sure if the shots came from the driver or the passenger side?
Yes.
And do you recall being asked how many shots you heard, and you said you don't know. Is that accurate, sir?
Yes.
And do you recall being asked if you could tell the race of any people in the car? You indicated that you could not. At least this is when you testified before the grand jury. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were asked if you could tell whether or not there were men or women, and your answer was someone inside of the car looked like a woman. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And when asked if you could even tell how many people were shooting from the SUV, you indicated that you couldn't tell how many people were shooting because you said, I didn't pay attention about the people who were shooting. I was trying to take care of myself and Safiro. He looked like he was dying. I was trying to...
Judge, counsel's reading from the transcript. It's not reaching.
Sustained.
Do you recall what your answer was to whether or not you could tell how many people were shooting?
Yes.
What was your answer?
I don't know how many people were shot.
Can I have one moment, Carl? Mr. Freire, at any point that night, did you or any of your friends, did you see anyone engaged in any drug deals or purchase of marijuana or anything like that?
No.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Mr. Baez.
May it please the court.
Please.
Mr. Hagan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My condolences to the loss of your friend, sir.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the testimony that you gave before the grand jury. I get the exact date right. On July 18, 2012. Do you recall that day, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And you recall being answering some questions from Mr. Hagan about your statements?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were asked on page 23, counsel, if you could identify were they men, women, what do you remember? You answered, yeah, someone inside of that car looked like a woman. A woman. You said that twice, right?
Yes.
Okay. And have you ever met Brian Kwan, sir?
I don't even know what name is that.
Okay. He's an Asian gentleman, works security at Underbar. Have you ever spoken to him at any time in your life?
Like I said, I don't know that name. I don't know that person.
It's not someone you would have talked to this incident about at all?
No.
Okay. Do you know any street sweepers?
If I know street sweepers?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Have you ever met Warren McMasters? He works as a street sweeper.
No.
Okay. Have you ever talked to him about anything having to do with this case?
If I don't know him, how come I talk to him? I don't know.
Okay. So, being as that you've never met or spoken to either one of those individuals, it's fair to say that you never told either one of them that you saw a woman in the car that night. Is that correct, sir? It's
So
fair to
can,
say.
can you repeat the second name again?
Sure. Warren McMasters. He's a street sweeper.
No. I don't.
Okay. So you never would have told either one of them at any time that you saw a woman in the car?
Are they a detective?
Okay. I'm just specifically speaking about these two people, and only these two people.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, you testified a moment ago to the jury that as the car pulled up to you, the only words you heard were, "What's up, Negroes?"
Yes.
Do you recall that? Do you recall when you testified in the grand jury on July 18, 2012, just a couple days after this incident, 2 days specifically, that when you were asked, What did you hear being said? What did you hear said? You answered some stuff like, how you guys doing? Something like that. Do you remember giving that answer, sir?
I don't.
Okay. If I showed you your grand jury transcript, might that refresh your recollection?
It might.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Lines, if you can read lines 4 through 7, please. Did you read that, sir?
Yeah.
Does that refresh your recollection as to what you actually said under oath before the grand jury?
Yeah, I might say that. That was like 2 days
Sir,
after.
my question to you is, do you recall making that statement to
Yes,
the grand jury?
yes.
Okay. And in here, does it say anything about what's up, Negroes? What you just read?
It doesn't say over there, no.
Okay. And you were specifically asked in this question what you heard, correct?
Can you repeat your question again?
Yes, sir. You were specifically asked what you heard when the car pulled up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just have a couple more questions if you can bear with me, sir. Now, that evening you suffered 2 injuries, correct? One
Yeah.
on each arm?
Yeah.
Okay. One bullet went in your right arm,
Yes.
and another bullet grazed your left arm?
No, overruled.
Is that a yes, sir?
One bullet went through one arm. The other one, I don't know what it was, but I had an injury from the accident.
Okay. And did you testify that it was a grazed injury?
I don't recall that. I don't remember that.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about the club that evening briefly. You never left that club until it closed.
If I never left that club until it closed?
Yes, you guys got there around 12:30, correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. And when you entered that club, you never left until it closed.
I don't remember.
Do you remember ever leaving the club before the lights came on and you had to leave?
Only part I remember, when everyone has to leave, that's the time I left the
Okay.
club.
And that includes everyone that was with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you or none of your friends ever went to another bar across the street, right?
Another bar across the street? No.
Yes. And neither did anyone that was with you that night, correct?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Not that you remember, or you're pretty sure you guys never left that club and went to another bar across the street?
No one left the club to go to the bar.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to, if I can have a moment. This is just as you and your friends are entering the bar, correct?
You said the bar?
Yes, Cure Nightclub.
Or the club?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
sorry. This is just as you guys are standing in line.
Yes.
Okay. You're actually behind Daniel at this time, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to press play, and I'd like for you to watch Daniel for a moment and see if you see him turn away at one point and then turn around at another. And I. Did you see that there, sir?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Okay.
On the video, yeah.
All right. Did you notice that as these two men walked by, prior to them walking by, Daniel looked in one direction away, and then when they walked by, he looked over at them? Did you see that?
Sustained in that form.
Okay. I'm actually going to play it for you one more time, sir, so you can take note of that if you can. Did you see that, sir?
I just saw him turn the head around, but I don't know what you mean about that.
Did he make any comments to you after that occurred as to whether he recognized anyone or not?
Comments about what?
As to whether he recognized any of those two gentlemen?
Nah.
Okay. Now, I want to go towards the end of the evening. This is the BMW here, correct?
Where?
Actually, I'm going to back it up just a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, you see the BMW. Now, I want you to tell me if you see a police car drive by.
Yes.
Okay. Now, at this point, all of you are in the car, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there doesn't appear to be any traffic, correct?
It doesn't.
Okay. Is there any comment in the car at this time about letting the police go?
Nah.
And you still don't turn after the traffic is already cleared, correct?
That was a question?
Yes.
We was just there, just trying to decide where was trying to decide where we're going to go or something like that.
Okay. Now, you then later went to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
And when you were at the hospital, you can have just a moment. When you were at the hospital, there were doctors and nurses tending to you?
Yes.
And while you were there, they were asking you what happened to you?
They might.
Okay. Do you recall telling one of the nurses that both of your friends were killed in a gunfight?
I might.
If I can have just a moment.
No further questions.
Mr. Hagan, how long were you recruited?
Very quick.
All right.
Just a couple of questions, Mr. Freire. Mr. Baez just asked you about whether or not you may have said your friends were killed in a gunfight. You recall that question?
When the doctor asked,
Is it you just indicated that it's possible you may have used the word gunfight
at the hospital.
at the hospital?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember using the word gunfight?
No.
And I think you've already testified to, but is English your first language or your second language?
It's my second language.
And is your English better now than it was 5 years ago in 2012?
Yeah, it's way better, yeah.
And was there any gunfight? And what I mean by a gunfight is...
Gunfight?
Yes.
No.
So there was no shooting between cars or anything like that?
No, it wasn't, no.
Did you ever tell anybody there was that?
That was a gunfight?
Yes.
No.
You were asked we asked a couple of questions by Mr. Byers about the other injury to your left arm. That was some type of scratch, is that correct?
Yes.
Objection, Judge. Bleeding.
Sustained.
What was the injury to your left arm?
So
what did it look like?
What do you mean? What it look like?
Yes. Well, let me ask you another question. Did they need to stitch it up or anything like that?
I believe they did. I don't really remember.
What did it look like?
Like something just passed across, like
And you don't know what it was, whether
I don't
it
know
was
what
glass
it was.
or anything
I
else.
don't know what it was.
Objection, Judge, on bleeding.
Sustained.
Was there any glass in the car?
In the car?
Well, did the window shatter?
Yeah.
You were also asked some questions, sir, by Mr. Baez about your memory that you heard a male voice in the car say, "What's up, Negroes?" And Mr. Baez asked you some questions about you testifying in 2012 that you heard them say something to the effect of "What's going on?" or "What's up?"
Yeah.
Objection, Judge, that's proper. Reagan has the transcript.
Overruled.
And I believe you were about to explain. You were about to explain that, and Mr. Baez, I believe, went on to another question. Can you explain what you were about to say as far as why you testified in 2012 to the statement being something different than "What's up, Negroes"?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Well, you started to give an answer as to why the transcript in 2012 said something different than "What's up, Negroes." What did you want to explain?
I mean, for what I remember, I said that person said, "How you guys doing?" Or "What's up?" Something like that. I kept like,
But is it your memory today that he said, "What's up, Negroes"?
Yeah.
And in fact, did you testify a second time in 2013?
Objection, Judge.
Yes.
No, overruled.
We request a sidebar.
No need.
And do you recall testifying in 2013 to that statement, words to the effect of "What's up, Negroes"? Is what you heard.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Buys anything further?
Sir, when you were asked in 2012, July 18th, you specifically said, "How are you guys doing?" Right?